What is up, 2K crew? Yes, it is that day of the week, and yes, we've got a badass show for you today. 2Ks, are you feeling this, buddy?
All right.
I am. I really don't think we've done a show kind of like this where, because let's be honest, it's no matter which sport you're watching, which sport you're a fan of, it can kind of be the same thing in and out, in and out, in and out. I mean, how with they use the same equipment, they play on the same days. The players might change, the faces might change, the coaching staff and everything like that might change. But all in all, the game is usually the same. However, one of the things that draws me to sports, especially baseball, is the season kind of takes an ebb and flow in and of itself. And it's something very unique every year. There's trends. There's always teams that come out really smoking hot out of the gate. And it's always, will they sustain this? Will these players sustain this? And of course, once someone gets off to a super hot start, are these records obtainable? And so all the speculation and everyone's on pace for this, on pace for that. Well, we're gonna break that shit down. We're gonna give it to you like we always do. Buckle up, because you have found the Turbo and 2K show. And ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know me, my name is Ryan Turbo Jackson, and I am the host of this lovely show. And the gentleman sitting across from me is the ravishing Kyle 2K's Kaler. What's up, brother?
What up?
Well, you and I were kind of talking before the show started. I'm always a fan of the warm weather. I love getting outside, love playing softball, love golf, going to ball games, hopefully here in the near future. But the one thing I don't like is we got to shut the air conditioner off in the studio, so that means it's ball sweating time for the studio time. So, but other than that, for those of you on YouTube, I do want to wish you a happy Sunday. For those of you listening on the podcast, happy Tuesday. And for those of you that are new, please consider liking, subscribing, writing a comment, because if you write a comment, I will showcase you on the screen like this and give you a nice little shout out. But yes, for those of you on the podcast side, follow us, like us, because everyone thinks subscription costs money, but that's not the case. This is all free. And if you guys are feeling super generous, which I do want to take a quick minute and give our one supporter, usually, I think from day one, 2Ks, has been Darcy. Mm-hmm. So big shout out to you, Darcy and Frank. You guys have always had our back, and we appreciate everything you guys have done for the show and us. So big shout out to that. Big shout out for that. But yes, we're going to jump into some hard-hitting MLB questions, and I say they're hard-hitting because I wrote them. And if you didn't know, part of if you guys want to support the channel financially, which is super awesome, which is what Darcy and Frank do, on top of a lot of things, but go to buyturboabeer.com. That'll take you to our Buy Me a Coffee site, and you can buy us a beer. And with that, you guys will get early access to my, instead of news article, because that's most people really don't read the newspaper anymore. I'm gonna start calling it a blog. Let's call it what it is. Mm-hmm. You can check out my blog every week on there. So just another way to connect with us, get some extra content. www.buyturbobeer.com. And we would appreciate it. It's not required. We still love you regardless. But if you are feeling extra saucy, and hopefully you're not in that crypto game and losing your ass, but yeah, or if you are and you wanna just pass some that way, we'll take it. But 2Ks, let's jump into this. Hard-hitting baseball questions. And we're gonna start off the first one, which we've talked about this gentleman a lot. Mm-hmm. A lot. He's very polarizing. He's one of a handful of players I think we could all consider polarizing. But and again, if you guys want to check the blog out, I wrote a nice little piece on Shohei Ohtani and kind of where he fits into the historical realm of baseball. Because for those of you that don't know, Mr. Ohtani is not only a pitcher, but he's a hitter and extremely good at both. He can light up the radar gun at 100 miles an hour, and then the next half inning hit a 450-foot bomb. And yeah, check out the blog, because I break down pretty much. Is it in? Well, yeah, I'll give you guys kind of a sneak peek, because I really don't think it's, because everyone's comparing his hitting numbers to pitchers. Mm-hmm. is not really fair because he's a DH, which I mean is very, very special in and of itself. Don't get me wrong. But
who also can play outfield. We showed that this past week.
Yeah, we did get to see that too. We did get to see that. Now that kind of scared me a little bit. That kind of scared me a little bit. I mean, it was one of those. I just had that flashback to Mariano Rivera shagging balls in the outfield in batting practice and tears his ACL. I mean that's something I don't want to see because this kid is that special. Yeah. He is that special, but everyone likes to compare him to like the top hitting pitchers of all time. Babe Ruth comes to mind because he was a two-way player. And, we've recently seen some very good hitting pitchers. Madison Bumgarner, Jake Arrieta. They even wanted to be in the home run derby. Mm-hmm. But to compare their hitting numbers to Ohtani's, in my opinion, is not fair. Just because Ohtani gets to hit more because he's a DH. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you might see, back in Bumgarner's day, would he pinch hit? Sure. Maybe 4 or 5 times a year, maybe. Mm-hmm. So to kind of they're not apples to apples is what I'm saying. But 2K is the question at hand. The question is is Ohtani the real deal? And can he? Because as of today, I want to say he's second, tied for second in the home run lead. It's him, the kid from Texas that we're going to talk about here in a little bit, and Ronald Acuna Jr. is leading the league, and there's
he's only one ahead of him.
Yeah, yeah. There's a handful of them that are 12, 13. So I think Acuna's leading with 15. Mm-hmm. So there's a handful of them right there, really close. But can he sustain this? Is he going to be chasing that home run lead for the entire year and still have like a sub-3 ERA? Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on that?
Man, it's going to be what he's doing right now, it's going to be tough to keep up those same numbers. Do I think that it's possible that he does that or stays somewhere on par, close of what he is doing? Absolutely. To me, the biggest question with him, and it's kind of been basically his career since he's come to America, is it's been very injury riddled. Mm-hmm. I mean, you think about the arm surgeries and all that stuff. Is can he stay healthy and pitching and playing, even if it is DHing, he's still, running the bases and doing all that thing.
He could probably, if he was an everyday player, could swipe you 40 bags.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He's just very, very. What's the word I'm looking for? He's very surprisingly fast.
I think, he looks like he's like a strider when he's running. He's just got those real long strides. But I think it was last night's game or maybe the night before he hit one. Kind of just a lazy base hit. It looked like right up the middle, kind of in that right center, and the center fielder kind of nonchalant went to it, and he legged it into a stand-up double, and it was like, damn, this kid can. Yeah. What can't he do? Yeah, is really the question. I think he does it, and I truly think that he keeps up these numbers, and I want to say, towards the end of the year, I'm not saying he's going to be a 40, 50 home run guy, but I think he can. I think it's legit to say that he hits over 30. Yeah, and. The pitching numbers, if he's got an ERA somewhere in between 3 and 4, how do you not consider him the MVP? I mean, if you can when you do both things like that. So yeah, I think he's for real. He's done nothing but get better every year that he's been over here. Now I get it. I know the injuries have played a big part of it, but he's been kind of the topic of conversation around baseball since he come to the United States. And I can't lie. In the beginning, I kind of thought, well, this is a joke. Like, it's a novelty. He can pitch, and you're telling me this guy can pitch, and he can hit. Has power to hit 40 to 50 home runs in a season. Like bullshit. Mm-hmm. No, I think it's for real. And now you're looking at him in his age 26 season, and he just keeps on getting better. And it's like, what is this kid going to be in another year? What is he going to be the year after that? Like, it's exciting. It's great for baseball, and because you just don't see this anymore, where you've got guys that are playing, 2 ways and being able to pitch and bat. It's a lost art. It's not around the game anymore. It hasn't been around the game since I've been alive. Nope. So to see it now, and just, it makes me wonder how many more of these we're going to see here in the recent years. But it's exciting, and to answer your question, I think he definitely keeps us up.
And what's shocking about Ohtani is he has to do these things to garner attention, to get the MVP consideration. And I think what's going to help his case more is, unfortunately, Mike Trout's on the IL for 6 to 8 weeks. Now, to garner attention from Mike Trout is a hard thing to do. I'm sure, but someone on his own team has to do this for us to really pay attention, which is kind of the crazy part and kind of tells you how good Mike Trout is. But in my opinion, yes, he's a real deal. Yes, he is. He is a very, very special, unique talent that I'm glad. First of all, I'm glad he's not a Yankee, because I mean that was anytime those big studs from Japan or other countries. I mean, it seems like the Yankees are some of the first ones to throw a shit ton of money at him, and the Yankees did throw a lot of money at him. He did, but he wanted to go to L.A. And thank goodness, because my love for the Yankees, and however he would fit in quite well because he's clean shaven, so that wouldn't be a problem with the Yankees. But just between the lines, again, something I've never seen. Probably something our parents have never seen. And it's I think that if he was in that New York market, oh my God. Everyone, I mean, not to say that everyone doesn't know who he is now, but he's out on the left coast.
Yeah,
where
I mean, look what it does to the best player that we've ever seen in our lifetimes, in Mike Trout. And, I think he's got, he have 3 MVPs to this point right now.
He should have about 7.
Yeah. But where it all comes down to where he plays at. People don't watch him enough. His team's been mediocre since he's been mediocre or bad since he's been there.
I was going to say mediocre at best.
Yeah, if he's playing, and so he's going to run into the same. In my opinion, he's going to run into the same opinion that Trout has, or the same problem that Trout has had, is when you're not playing relevant baseball. Especially down the stretch, our fans are getting the opportunity to watch you play playoff baseball. Yeah, you're probably not. I mean, it's going to play against you, and it's happened to Trout since he's been in L.A.
Yep, and
in L.A. on the wrong team.
Yeah,
exactly. Not the Dodgers. If it was the Dodgers, then it's a whole different story. If it was the Giants, then it's a whole different story. But because it's the Angels, nobody talks about them.
Nope. And even look at San Diego. We for years never really talked about him. We made fun of Eric Hosmer for signing there. We made fun of Manny Machado for taking that. I'm pretty sure if you look back in our episodes, we probably called it a cash grab. And now look at us. We look like we're stupid because that team is legit. Of course, it took a couple years to get there, and a very special player in Tatis Jr. to make that team come together. And the Angels have a top to bottom good lineup. They just can't pitch. Aside from Ohtani. And probably the one thing that you could pick on Ohtani about is his walks. He's still walking too many people. But when you got gas like that, I mean, that kind of puts a Band-Aid over some rough spots. Whereas if he was 92 to 95, I have a feeling his ERA would be closer to 4 instead of closer to 3. And
this is a guy that hasn't pitched in a year and a half.
That's very true.
Because of the injuries to the elbow, he hasn't pitched in a year and a half. So he's just coming back, and he's got 7-8 starts under his belt so far. Like, let's see how things go and when he gets to maybe the 20th start of the season. I bet that command does nothing but improve as the season goes on.
I agree with you. He's the real deal. However, I think he ends up at that 28-30 home run mark. About a 3.25 ERA I'll give him. As far as the wins and losses are concerned, I'm not sure because
that team's not going to win very many games.
Especially with Trout, missing 2 months. I mean, that kind of puts a damper on a lot of things. So I'm not going to give you an ERA or a win-loss prediction because
But even if he has 26 home runs, 27 home runs, and then he has an ERA in the 3s, and he has a record, maybe a subpar record, but he has 10 wins. So I'll say he's 10 and 12 or something like that at the end of the season. Is he considered? He has to be considered for that MVP award.
Absolutely.
I mean, we start talking about the WAR and all the fancy terms that we use today. He's going to have to be up there as one of the highest in the game because of him being able to do it on both sides of the plate as a batter and as a pitcher. So yeah, it's something. It's so exciting because it's something that we just haven't seen. We've never seen it before. We maybe have seen guys try it, but to see a guy do it and be be elite from both sides.
Yeah.
That's something that we've never seen. And that's what's so exciting about it.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I 100% agree with that. And I hope that there are some other dudes coming up that that he's kind of blazing the trail for. So I dig it. I dig it.
And I think it opens up the doors because I think there's a lot of kids that are interested in doing it and that obviously want to do it. And there's probably been kids in the last 20 years that have wanted to do it. I think it's organizations not being open-minded to trying it. Everybody is so protective of the pitcher, and you can't throw over 100 pitches. You can't throw over 100 pitches, or you can't throw this amount of innings in a season. We're going to shut you down. And I think I mean, kudos to the Angels for letting him try it, letting him do it. And maybe in the long run, maybe we'll be talking about this in 5 years, and it'll be nothing but the same way that he's been trending since he's been here, injuries and after injuries. Then we look back and we say, well, you just can't do this anymore.
It's too much of a workload.
Yeah. But maybe it works out, and then we see this. We see a lot of this in 5-6 years. That's the conversation that I hope that we're having 5 years from now, is that guys are doing it in every organization.
And I think one of the things that can't go unmentioned is to manage a unique player like this, you need to be a unique manager. And I think Joe Maddon's a perfect dude over there. And so they
saying Brad Ausmus isn't?
No. Brad Ausmus has had the keys to 2 Ferraris and have wrecked both of those in fucking light poles. So not figuratively 2K crew. I'm saying, he was able to coach Miguel Cabrera, one of the greatest right-handed hitters of all time, and then leaves there to go to the Angels to coach, arguably the best player of all time, and didn't win shit with either one of them. That's the car wreck I'm talking about. Speaking of train wrecks and car wrecks, 2Ks, let's go to the AL Central. And no, we're not going to talk about the Tigers, because I think the Tigers are trending up more than this team that we're going to talk about. It is the Minnesota Twins, 2Ks. Are they really this bad?
Yeah,
are they really this bad?
I think so. I look at them, and there's just not a whole lot that I see that they're very good at. They don't field the ball very well at all. They're probably one of the worst teams in baseball defensively. They don't pitch the ball great. They don't have a bullpen. Their bullpen is actually really bad. And their offense is just, they have some. One thing I will say that they do have is they have some pop. They have some power.
It's either hit or miss. They're either hitting bombs or.
Because single run shots are not going to win you very many games. So you got to have base runners. And I think that this is just something that we've talked about it here recently with them, is they've just been kind of trending. They had their couple years where they were able to compete. They never really were able to put anything over the top, but they've been trending this way for a couple years now. And I think when you look at the White Sox, they're the class of this division.
Which in my opinion, scary to say, even with the injuries they've had.
And there's nobody that's going to be able to play with them. The only thing that's going to hold them back is their stupid fucking manager.
Yes. And I'm sure if we had Christian on here, he would agree 100%.
And he's a Hall of Fame manager. He's one of the best that's ever done it. But, man.
Done it.
Yeah, exactly. His time is done. And he lost so much respect from me and some of the things that he has. I know this is a Twins question, and I'm taking it to the White Sox, but... I lost a lot of respect for Tony La Russa with not having his players' backs and just kind of throwing them on blast over something so stupid and childish and we could go on, and this is a conversation for a different episode, but
which we really should have Christian on too.
Wanted to get it out there. For a team that is, I think a lot of people kind of have them as the team to beat in the American League. The team to be there in the World Series against a team like the Dodgers or the Padres or whoever. And when your manager doesn't have your back, and we're in the first 2 months of the season, that's what's gonna hold that team back.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be an uphill climb, but you never know. That's something that's it's definitely something that's going to be on my radar to watch, because, like you said, the White Sox are an exciting fucking team to watch. Young, they have some badass vets there, and they have one of the most probably underrated shortstops in the game. And let's not forget they have the AL MVP at first base. So the thing with the White Sox is they just need to be more consistent, and they need to pitch a little bit better. But getting back to the Twins, yes, they are really this bad. Unfortunately, it seems with them it's either feast or famine.
Mm-hmm.
Either they're hitting 4 home runs a game and scoring 10 runs a game, or they're getting shut out. There's no consistency there. And keep in mind, too, we're only, 2 years removed from this team making a playoff run and looking very good. And we're probably an arm away from being a serious contender for a World Series. And it doesn't seem like there's that much roster turnover. It doesn't seem like there's that much has changed to, it's not like they traded away, a Mookie Betts type player or something like that. And the Twins have some studs coming up. Kirilloff is up already, and he's not setting the world on fire by any means, but he's above average for a rookie and playing very good defense. So yes, things are looking up for them, but I don't know. It's one of those teams where, and this is something that I've talked about in our little group chat 2Ks. Is there's just, of course I'm an overall baseball fan, yes, but when it comes down to it, I usually put together a parlay every day, and there's certain teams that I just can't fucking figure out. And the Twins are one of them. And it's like, where did all this talent go? It's still there. Another team that I can't really figure out is the Braves. And we're going to talk about them here in a little bit. But kind of going from the shit house to the penthouse, 2Ks. Are the Giants really this good? The Giants are leading their division. Now, mind you, the Dodgers got off to a historic start. What was it, 14-2 or some shit? With injuries and stuff, they've come back down to earth. Yeah. I mean,
Cody Bellinger being hurt.
Seager's hurt. I mean, there's the injury bug hit them hard. However, they even with those guys healthy, it seemed like something was off. I mean, maybe it's, I don't know, because on paper they should win almost every game. With the money that they've spent, they should win almost every game. And coming out of, almost nowhere is the Giants. And the Giants are playing great baseball. If I'm not mistaken, I saw a stat saying that their starters are leading the NL in ERA. I would have never, if you'd have had me pick which team would lead the NL in ERA, I would have went with the Dodgers.
Absolutely. I mean, not even close.
Yeah, that's quick, easy money. I would have never thought it was even close. I could have probably. I'm actually trying to think, because I'm pretty sure Matt Cain does not pitch for the Giants any longer. Tim Lincecum's no longer there. I'd be hard pressed to give you a starter, to be honest with you.
Alex Wood.
Yep.
I mean, he's the first one that comes to mind with me. Johnny Cueto's still there.
How is Johnny Cueto still in the league? I did not know he was still in the league until his, because he was on the IL, not the DL, the IL, and I didn't even know he was still in the league, and all of a sudden he's making his season debut, and I'm like, oh well, I guess that's where he's been. Is Samardzija still there? Is he still making 90? That $90 million contract run out?
Yeah, I don't think he's there anymore. Kevin Gossman, another one. He was having a really good year.
Which I want to say he was brought up by the Orioles, if I'm not mistaken, and then spent some time with the Braves, and always liked watching that kid. You're right. I forgot he was over there, and he was always, even going back to when he was with the Orioles. I mean, had all the stuff. I mean, the talent was through the roof. It's just putting it all together. So I'm glad that's actually coming to fruition for him, because like I said, coming up, he came up with that's when the Orioles were still kind of good, and so it's good to see that he's doing that. But
Buster Posey is to me the big one that they got back. I mean, I think a lot of people forget that he opted out last season, didn't play at all, and
which could be good for a catcher taking a year off.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and especially for a guy like him who's done it for 10 years now, and so you got to think that year off. I mean, we were already playing This is my opinion, but that was a kind of a meaningless baseball season anyways. I mean, it was a short season. They didn't play not a quarter of the games that you play in a regular season, and so yeah, I think it was great for him getting him back, and then you're starting to see some of these guys that they're veterans and they've been around the game for a long time, but kind of having their resurgence this year with guys like Brandon Crawford. I was just looking at his numbers. He's got 11 home runs.
He's on a walk here too.
Yeah. 11 home runs. And then Evan Longoria, another one who's...
Longoria.
But since he left Tampa, he really hasn't done anything to be relevant, and he's putting together, a pretty solid year so far.
Brandon Belt's still playing first base for him. The guy has gigantic feet still. And, even some... I guess you could say younger guys, but Yastrzemski isn't that young. He hasn't had a lot of service time, so that part of him's young. Excuse me, but he's like 25, 26 years old, somewhere in there. And, he's having a hell of a season. So, aside from, are they that good? Do you see this team finishing first in that division?
No. I mean,
still taking the Dodgers.
The Dodgers. Who beats the Dodgers, really? And when it comes down to it, I mean, yeah, exactly. And then I don't even, as good as I think that this Giants team is, because I do think that they're legit, and I think that they're a wild card team. I would almost say they're a lock to be a wild card team. The problem that they're going to run into is they got to play the two teams in their own division a lot of games against the Dodgers and a lot of games against the Padres. And unfortunately, those two teams equal a lot of losses.
Yeah, that division is going to be a bloodbath. I mean, that's something that's probably not going to be decided until the second or third to last day of the year. I'm with you. I still have the Dodgers winning that division. However, it's not going to be a runaway like everybody thought.
No.
I think this is, like I said, it's going to come down to one of those three. And unfortunately, I have to give the nod to the Dodgers just because of their pitching staff.
They're more proven.
Staff.
But the moves that the Padres made in the offseason to their pitching staff, they have tightened that gap. And I'm not ready to, like you just said, I'm not ready to give the Padres the nod and say that they have the better pitching staff.
Yeah.
But I'm saying it's damn possible that by the end of the season, we're talking about the Padres pitching staff being better than the Dodgers.
And if the Dodgers go out and get a closer, I think that is the nail in the coffin for that division, because you can ask any Dodger fan, Kyler Thornburg, Rich Thornburg, Kenley Jansen is a bum. I mean, I think at this point they would take Todd Jones, the old closer from the
Roller Coaster Jones.
From the Tigers. That dude was, yes. All right, you're up by 3. Let's load the bases and then strike 3 guys out in a row, because that's what everybody does. But yeah, I think in which team has a loaded farm system and almost what seems like unlimited money? The Dodgers. The Dodgers. So we could be seeing, which I'm sure Magic Johnson and his crew are already on this. It's not a big shock, but yes, yes, the Giants are that good. However, they're not, when it's all said and done and everything comes out in the wash. I agree they're a wild card team, but I'm saying they come 2 games short of the division title. It's going to be super close. So we kind of mentioned him already, 2Ks. Ronald Acuna Jr. is leading all of baseball in home runs. And we're at that about quarter mark of the season. So my question to you is, does he hit 50 or more home runs? If we set the over-under at 50, are you taking the over or are you taking the under?
I'm taking the under on this. That's a lot of home runs.
Yeah.
And in today's game, I think it's pretty safe to say that it's very pitcher-dominated. The pitchers are so good today.
Which we'll get to that here in a little bit, too.
I just think those days of seeing 50, 60 home runs in a season are, unless something drastic happens and they make a huge change with the balls or stadiums and stuff like that, I think those days of seeing high number home runs in the 50s and 60s are are kind of we're beyond those days. But hey, I'm not saying that if there's anybody that is going to do it this year, and if I was going to put money on him, he would be the guy that I would put the money on. I just don't. I think that's 50 is a very, very high number to go.
Yes, it is. But if you give me a healthy Acuna for the rest of the year, I'm smashing that over. Smashing that over. And when I say smash, I'm 53. I'm not saying he's going for 70. I'm not saying he's going anything like that. But and on top of that, in that 50, I'm gonna throw in a wild card and say there's gonna be 2 inside the park home runs.
Yeah.
Because this dude can flat out fly, and which is good if you're a Braves fan, but also kind of scary because he has that, play with his hair on fire type mentality, which is great for the game. I love watching it, but every time he, slides into home or slides into second head first, there's always that, you kind of hold your breath to make sure he's okay. Because let's be legit. Mike Trout could be a 40-40 guy every year. Definitely be a 30-30 guy. But he doesn't run nearly as much as he used to. Whereas Acuna, I'm pretty sure you'd be hard pressed to keep him from running. That's just the way he plays. But so yeah, I'm smashing the over on this. Like I said, give me a healthy Acuna all year, and on top of that, with that Braves lineup, you really can't pitch around him. You really can't. You're seeing Ozzie Albies. He hit one from the left and right side yesterday. And you have the NL MVP over there and Freddie Freeman. And Azuna's waking up now that the weather's getting a little warmer. And that whole lineup, they scored 20 runs the other day.
Yeah.
20 runs. Granted, they're playing Pittsburgh. But I want to say they had 4, if not 5 home runs. Dansby Swanson's having a career, start to a career year. So if he was more on an island, then I would go under. But like I said, he's not a guy that you can pitch around. So with that being said, 2Ks, let's continue on the Braves bandwagon here. Again, like I said, when I'm filling out my bet slip every day, I always have to, because I ever since the early 90s, I've been a Braves fan. Because they were on TBS, and we got to watch them on TV all the time. And just that winning culture, the Bobby Cox era. Now the Bobby Cox era is over. Now, it's the Ronald Acuna era, the Freddie Freeman era. And it's a whole lot of young kids that are just balling out. So they're exciting to watch. I love watching them. I love watching the Padres for the same exact reason. And the one thing that I'm not even just going to put this on the Braves, but who wins the NL East? It seems like every single one of those teams are under 500. And to be honest with you, the scariest team in that division might be your Marlins, 2Ks. Speaking of exciting, you got your boy Jazz down there. He's probably right now the NL Rookie of the Year favorite.
But they've kind of tapered off a little bit too. They were playing. Everybody has.
Everybody
absolutely.
in that division has.
Nobody. When it comes, in my opinion, I think that it's going to be one of those 3 teams at the top there in the Mets, Phillies, or the Braves that take this just because of the experience, the guys that have done this for a while now. As badly as I want it to be the Braves, I don't know if it's going to be the Braves. And I said it at the beginning, when we did kind of our picks, on everything. I kind of thought that the Braves were a lock to take this.
I thought so too.
They can't pitch.
No,
their bullpen's awful. Their
weird.
Starting pitching is other than the rookie Ian Anderson, who's been great for them. They haven't had anybody else step up to pitch for them, starting in the rotation and going into the bullpen. Nobody has stepped up for them.
We haven't seen Soroka yet this year.
Yeah.
So maybe that's. I'm not saying one guy could come in and fix a whole entire staff, but again, like the Dodgers, they have a very good farm system. They have the ability to go get bullpen help. Are they the ones that make a big splash for a starting pitcher? Maybe a Matthew Boyd type of guy, or there's the sky's the limit. You know what I mean? And I think too that this year is going to be a very, very instrumental year because they're going to try to keep Freddie Freeman. I think Freddie wants to stay there. But does he want... If you had the choice to stay in Atlanta or, let's use the Yankees again, where you have a chance to win every year. Granted, the Braves should have a stranglehold on that division for many years to come. But it seems like no one's stepping up to the plate to win that division. It seems, like I said, it seems like every team in that division is under 500.
And look what the Mets did this offseason. The Mets went all in. I mean, they went crazy trying, and the guys that they went for aren't doing shit. Their offense, this offense was supposed to be one of the best offenses in the league.
If you look at it, it should.
I mean, starting pitching is phenomenal there, and that's why if it came down to it, and just from what I've seen so far, if I was going to put money on it, I would say the Mets, because some of these bats have sooner or later have got to do something.
Lindor's starting to warm up,
and we know what we're going to get out of the pitching staff there. I mean, they got the best pitcher in the game.
Which by the way, he's supposed to start on Tuesday.
Yep.
DeGrom I was watching MLB Network this morning. He did a bullpen this morning, and yesterday or Friday, pitched for single A. So he's on track to be back on Tuesday, which if you're a Mets fan is a huge ordeal because you're right, he's the best pitcher on the planet. And sneakily enough, Marcus Stroman in that rotation has kind of been like the dark horse MVP for that team. And I've always been a huge Stroman fan, even going back to when he was with the Blue Jays. But it's something to where, because now Alonso's hurt, so it seems like they're getting people off the IL, but also putting people back on. And when I say people, I mean some instrumental parts, because Pete Alonso is a big deal.
Yeah.
His numbers might not show it quite yet, but that kid is, I mean, you don't hit 50 home runs in your rookie year and then just die. Your career doesn't take a shit that quick. But yeah, like I said, I don't know if it's more the Braves win or just no one wants to win that division. And if you go lineup to lineup, the Braves should have the best lineup.
Oh yeah.
Second would probably be the Phillies. And like I said, it just seems like no one's stepping up. Every team in that division has a major hole right now, and it's who's going to fill that hole. That's what she said. to take that division and take the next step. So you're right. Leading into this year, to me, the Braves were a lock for this. I still think they make the moves to get this team into the playoffs and winning this division. So. Am I worried? Yes. Are they on my daily parlay card? No, because they're too inconsistent. Well, I wore this shirt for a reason, 2Ks. Not because I'm a huge Red Sox fan, because we all know that. But are the Red Sox this good, and do they win the AL East?
Yeah, I think the Red Sox are a really good team. I mean, I think I've said it a lot, even since the Mookie Betts trade. I think a lot of people, including a lot of Boston fans, just kind of wrote them off. Like, we don't have Mookie anymore. It's over. And there's a lot of good players that are still on that team.
They got a lot of good players in that deal.
Yeah.
Are they going to replace Mookie? No. There's only one Mookie Betts.
Yeah.
There's only one Mike Trout.
They got a damn good outfielder.
Yes.
In that trade, though, in Verdugo, who I think possibly could be the best player in Boston right now on that team. Well,
if you look at it from this year to last year, or from 2 years ago to this year, there's a whole new outfield. Benintendi's gone. Jackie Bradley Jr.'s gone. Obviously, Mookie's gone. I think they've filled those holes quite well. I think you're even seeing JD Martinez playing a little bit of left field. Which, if you're going to play an outfield spot, if Manny Ramirez can play outfield, yeah, JD Martinez can play outfield too. Yep. Is he a right fielder? Probably not. Would I play him in a big outfield? Yeah, I'd probably slide him into the DH. But with the short porch there and the monster there in Boston, it opens up the opportunity for him to get out on the field. But of course, I'm going to say they're going to win the division. But I can say that with not just fandom, but I just watching.
If I was going to bet, I'd say they win it. I think they're the best team in the division. I really do. I think they not only they get some great players in that trade, and not only do they still have great players from that, they also got the best manager back in that, maybe the best manager in all of baseball right now. And in that division where I think there's 3 of the top 5 managers in all of baseball are in that division. When I say that, I'm talking about Cora, obviously, Cash in Tampa, and then also Boone in New York, who I think is a great manager also. So you got 3 great managers right there. But I think Cora coming back to Boston has just put that.
It's huge.
I mean, the last year that he was in Boston, that was when they broke all the records. They were the best team. I mean, that offseason that they had going into that World Series and winning that World Series was, it wasn't even like they competed with teams. They just blew them away throughout that entire playoff. I mean,
that whole playoff run was just
insane.
And they're like, all right, well, they stole signs. I don't know, because they did it at home anyway. They were the best team from start to finish that whole year.
Not even close,
And I think what's really cool is a lot. I mean, yes, at the time I was cursing the brass, in Boston. How trade away any other fucking player but Mookie? Trade away any other player. Looking back at it, I'm glad they didn't trade Devers. Glad they didn't trade Bogarts, because those are 2 linchpins of that whole team. And they extended Bogarts. Which there was a lot of people. Why did you extend Bogarts? Why did you extend Sale? And we haven't even seen Chris Sale yet this year, so we're not even sure where he's going to play in a role in this. And out of nowhere, Matt Barnes is a fantastic closer. Who would have thought? He's always been a very serviceable and dependable, and any part of that back end of the bullpen he could do. But was he a closer? No. So, and then like you pointed out with Verdugo, I mean, he's one of the better younger players, and he's still getting used to being a major league hitter. He's still used to being an everyday. I mean, they've had him in right, they've had him in center, they've had him in left, and just anchoring. I mean, I'm pretty sure I think in most days he's their number 2 hitter, and a sneaky signing was Kike Hernandez. Just adding a little bit of flair, a little bit of energy to that whole lineup. And, I mean, we've even seen Michael Chavis be up and down with AAA, and they're still doing this. And on paper, should the Yankees win this division? Yes. You look at all of that power, all of that talent. Can they pitch? That's been their Achilles heel. And they went out and got probably the second best pitcher in baseball, Garrett Cole. Some of these young kids are spinning gems, but it's been their offense that's been too inconsistent. And whereas with the Red Sox, are their pitchers going to give up 3 or 4 runs a game? Sure, they're going to score 8. They're going to. I mean, their offense is built around. Yes, they know that the starters are going to be kind of leaky at times. That's all right. You give up 5 in the first, we'll get three in our half. Just don't let it get out of control, and they're always going to have a shot to win. So yes, did I expect this? No. I'm pretty sure if you rewind and go to the episode where we do our early picks, I think probably they're third best team in this division. Pretty sure both of us had the Yankees and the Rays being better.
Yeah, and to me, there's a couple guys on that Boston roster that, I mean, we talked about Chavis making his runs down in AAA and everything, so he's a guy that's going to get it going eventually.
Oh, yeah.
And then you talk about the rookie, Dahlbeck.
Yes,
he's going to get going.
He's starting to heat up.
He's hit at every single level, all the way up, and so with him, it's just a matter of time before he does take off, and then that just adds another bat to the already. They have just as much. They can line up with anybody in baseball right now and go power to power as far with their batting lineup. So
and just wait till Chris Sale gets back.
Yep.
And if he's anything close to, and the good part is they don't need him back right now. They can, you know what, Sale, take your time. When you do get back, we'll ease you back in. We don't need to rush you. You don't need to be our number 1 coming back from this. And of course, I want to see him this year, and I'm sure we will. But it's not like he needed to be on the opening day roster for this team to compete. So that's a good sign. So 2Ks, the last question, I'm going to wrap these. Well, actually, there's 2 questions. And you and I were kind of talking about this last night. I think we kind of touched on it. But I'm going to wrap the last 2 questions up into one. First off, are no-hitters boring?
Fuck no.
And the second one is, how can Major League Baseball, quote unquote, fix all these no-hitters? Now, what I mean, to me, there's nothing better than a pitcher's duel. Mm-hmm. I would much rather see a 2-1, 1-0 game than a 10-9 game. Mm-hmm. That's just me. Mm-hmm. I love Greg Maddux was one of my favorite pitchers. Watching him a complete game shutout, spend 78 pitches or 76 pitches, whatever it was. Mm-hmm. That's what I like. So does the train. But there's a lot of people in baseball saying that, and just in general saying that we need to move the mound back. We need to change this.
Eliminate the fucking shift. It's that easy. Eliminate the fucking shift. Eliminate the fucking shift. If you do that,
teach these kids how to hit.
Well, yeah, the launch angle thing kind of ruined it too. There's 2. Yeah. I mean, those are the 2 things, and they came at the same time. Yes. Josh Donaldson had a season where he just went off and started talking about launch angle and basically changed everything in baseball to where we don't try to teach kids to hit, aim for top half of the ball anymore. Yeah. We're just trying to get the launch angle and fucking hit dingers and hit everything for power.
Long ball.
And somehow, some way, that just stuck in everybody's mind, like that's what we're gonna do. Yeah. And then at the same time, we started playing shift where we have a third baseman playing out in right field. I mean, it looks like a slow pitch softball.
It does.
Team out there. And then because of the whole launch angle thing, the whole small ball thing is just completely went away. Mm-hmm. So even though there's not anybody on the left side of an infield, we're not gonna bunt and get base runners on. We're gonna keep trying to fucking swing, and we're gonna try. And it's so frustrating to watch it because it makes 0 sense to me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm watching grown men try to play baseball, and they're trying to hit the ball to the same side of the field where all 9 fucking guys are standing.
Well, I mean, 2K's probably the best argument to that is there's no shift against a dinger.
Yeah.
But if you I'm right there with you, and this is where I'm going to go with this. And yes, there's a ton of people saying just drop down a bunt a few times. They're gonna have to play somebody over there. That's true. That's very true. But how did you get to the major league level not knowing how to go oppo, or if you're in the softball community, to push, meaning go to your not pull side? How does that happen? I mean, if you take David Ortiz's numbers, which Big Papi was one of the ones that they started the whole shift with. Why? Because he pulled everything. Probably 70% of his hits were going to go to the pull side. He had to be close to like a 270, 280 career hitter. That's even with some early years with the Twins where he was horrible. If he goes a la Derek Jeter, where Jeter and Cabrera, one of the reasons they're such great hitters is they look the opposite field. If you pitch them in, they're going to yank it. If you leave it out over the plate, they're going to deposit it into right field. Why can't more guys do that? And that's what blows my mind. You are supposed to be, but there's 28 rosters, or 32 rosters, 28 dudes on a team. How many, minus the pitchers? You're supposed to be the top 300 people that can do this type of thing in the fucking world. You can't tell me that the pitchers are that much better now than they were 5 years ago. Can they throw harder? Probably a couple miles an hour harder. It seems to me that the pitchers have evolved faster than the hitters. And whether that's because of the big contracts, chicks dig the long ball, all I want to do is hit dingers. Home runs get you paid. Home runs get you paid. But a guy like DJ LeMahieu that can win a batting title in the NL and the AL, I think in back-to-back years, if I'm not mistaken. And yes, it was a shortened season last year, but he flirted with 400 for the first probably half of the season. He got paid. Did he get paid big money, like Francisco Lindor money? No. But he still got paid. I think $85 million for his contract. Granted, it's not nearly as long as a Lindor contract, but if you're in, I'm just putting myself and knowing how I think through things. If you're getting, they do this in softball all the time. Yes, I'm right-handed. The second baseman will play almost directly behind the bag, and the first baseman will be kind of hugging the line. There's a huge-ass hole. Okay. And then you're going to pick, granted, I know we're comparing apples and oranges to two very different games, but just the mindset. You pitch me outside, I'm just going to poke it through. I'm just going to poke it through. And for a major league hitter to not be able to do that, that blows my mind. Blows my mind. Because if I granted, there's no way that I could prove this, but going back to like the Mickey Mantle days, I guarantee the pitchers threw almost as hard with mush balls. And these dudes still hit 320, 330 with 20 or 30 bombs. Yeah. There is no way you can tell me that these pitchers are good enough or too good for the game. I don't buy that. Do not move the mound back.
No.
I'm still okay with the shift because that's just part of a defensive advantage.
I
get that,
and I'm okay with shifting your infield. You can shift them however you want. Every infielder should have to have a foot in the dirt.
Yeah,
there's no way that you should be able to take your third baseman and put him out in right center and basically take away that entire gap. Yeah. And just, I mean, some of the things that you see are just so unbelievable to me. If every single infielder, if they can shift them however the fuck they want in the infield, but they all have to be on the infield dirt in some way. At least have a foot on it in some way. That's the one thing that I say. As far as the, it is a lost art. The teaching kids, coming up through the minors and of seeing a bunch of kids batting over 300, that's over. That's just not. People nowadays would rather have the guys that can bat 220, 230 and hit 30 home runs, 40 home runs than the guy that hits 300 and hits 8 home runs or 10 home runs. Like that's just where, and it used to be like, well, you wanted your leadoff batter to be somebody that had a really high on base percentage, got on base, and then you wanted your two batter to kind of be the same thing, be able to just be on base a lot, so that way when our 3 and 4 hitters come up,
there's men on base.
Yeah, now we got our first 4 hitters, and all the good teams' lineups are all like the 3 and 4 hitter. Like they're we want all of them. I mean, Ronald Acuna. The guy that we were just talking about hitting 50 home runs in a season. He's a leadoff batter for the Braves.
And if you think about it, I mean, traditionally you're right. You want your speedy guy to get on. You want to get on first. You want your number 2 hitter to push him over to second, hit behind him. And then your number 3 hitter to get everything set for that number 4 hitter. But if you think about it this way, and I could see why they do it. Because if he bats first, he's going to get the most at-bats out of anyone in the game. You want your best player to do that. So it's just, I get that part of it. But you're right, and it's kind of gotten to even go back 3 or 4 years, 5 years, you're starting to see your best hitter in the 3 hole, and not the 5, and not the 4 hole. The cleanup hitter, the number 4 guy, get up with bases loaded. How often does that happen? I mean, and especially just beside the first inning. I mean, that's kind of what you're setting yourself up for, because everything else is random shit like that. But the game is different. And
another major thing that never gets talked about either is the technology.
Yeah.
Look what these pitchers have, and the hitters have it also. Yeah. But it's easier to be a pitcher in baseball than it is a hitter. I mean,
it always has been.
If you get a hit 30% of the time you go up there, you're going to be a Hall of Famer. So that tells you how hard it is to be a hitter in this game. But with the technology that these pitchers have, and they know everything about every single batter that comes up. And if they don't have it memorized, then they have it wrote down on a piece of paper. I mean, how many times watching a game you see them pull, a napkin out of their back pocket, and it tells you, how you want to. It's telling them how they want to attack that batter or anything like that. So, it's unbelievable how much technology they have today. That plays. I mean, there's so many things that play a huge factor in it. Like earlier when you were talking about, how as a major league hitter can't take the ball the other way. Well, they play the shift that, to force them to, the only way that they're going to get on base is if they hit the ball the other way. But that they pitch them every single way that you can't hit the ball the other way.
Yeah.
So, like, if you're getting 90, 95 and above inside and they're giving you the whole, left side of the infield and your left-handed bat, how are you going to inside out that the other way? So your only choice really is to somehow pull the ball and hit it through the shift or hit it over the wall, over the shift. So that's where it's so hard to be a hitter today.
We do have a suggestion from Mr. Austin Garvelink. He says, I say legalize steroids. I want to see jack dudes crush homers, scattering records. I'm dead serious. And then he also says, no hitters are boring. I want to see high scoring and home runs. Steroids is the answer. Well, it is more exciting. I mean, if you go back to the Bonds era, everyone was watching him, whether hate him or love him. You go back to the Sosa McGuire, that race, that saved baseball. Do I want to get back that way? No, I'm not. Austin, those games are fun. But I'm still an old school guy. I still want, give me a 2-1. And on top of that, if you really want to get my juices flowing, I want the starters to go 8-9 innings.
Oh yeah.
And not have be the ass end of it be a race for the bullpen. That's when to me I got a rager.
But but those days are
few and far between.
Yeah, because you got how many? Every team these days has 4 or 5 guys that come out of their bullpen that throw 95 and above.
Yeah.
So that's where.
Yep.
I mean, it's a pitching dominated game. That's just the way it is now.
Specialized.
Are no hitters boring? Hell no. I mean, to me.
They are if you're the team with no hits.
Yeah, absolutely.
Extremely. I mean, what is it? The Rangers have been no hit twice already. The Indians have been no hit. I mean, when you're on the other end of it, it's boring as fuck. You're sitting there going, someone fucking bunt, lay down a bunt, break this shit up. Is it an unwritten rule? Sure. But if it's like to quote our friend Jeffrey Burton, if it's that important, write it the fuck down. But no, that's. I'm sure we could go on and on and on about the state of baseball, which probably throughout the season we will. But what are we at? 5 or 6 no hitters so far? I think 6, right? And 7's the record for an entire season. So.
Yeah.
To say that we're going to blow past that, I don't know.
I don't think they'll blow past it. I would.
Do I think we're going to have like 24 in a year?
No. I don't think we're going to have over 10. I'll say right now, we don't get over 10.
No, it's just especially in the beginning of the season, the pitchers are ahead of
coming off of a short season. Yes. Right, the reps have not been there. That plays a huge factor in it too.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to quick and point the fingers to some of the rule changes and how things are going that way, and some of it just needs to be. We haven't had real baseball in over a year now, so. And
I mean, there has to be, even going back to last year without the lack of fans and stuff like that, it's a whole different landscape. It's a whole different landscape.
And that plays a big advantage to a pitcher also, not having fans.
Oh, yeah.
Or having limited fans in the ballparks. As far as being on the same page with your catcher, so much easier when you can hear everything that's going on and relay everything that's going on. But when you throw fans back in there, some of the concentration and everything that goes into
especially
being able
if you're
to
on
relay.
the road.
Yes. So, there's a lot that goes into it. But to answer the main question, are no hitters boring? Fuck no.
No. All right, well, Mr. 2Ks, we are, at the time of this recording, we are sitting here, it is 2:11 on Sunday, and we've got the PGA Championship up on the tube, and lefty, out of nowhere, Phil Mickelson is leading 7 under, Koepka's sitting at 6 under, Oosthuizen is at 5 under, Stremmen's at 4 under, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce the dude that's in 5th with 3 under. Bezenhout or whatever. But first of all, I've never seen the layout of this golf course. and I knew as soon as I say that I'd forget the name of the course. But first of all, it's beautiful, which the PGA doing a major is not going to choose a shitty course, that's for sure. But the way this is kind of, it's almost like manicured in a valley, it looks like, and it's very unique. And for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, it's on the coast, and you have like 3 or 4 holes go right in a row. And when I say in a row, like they'll be going with the wind, and then you come back to the clubhouse against the wind, and then 10 you go the same. It's kind of the same thing, where all the courses around here, at least the ones that I have played, kind of go zigzagging back across. I mean, so the wind, and this is one of the wind at this course is one of the major players in this, and why it's so difficult is because of the wind. And it's, like I said, it's right on the ocean, and just the way the course is carved out, I mean, I could see how it'd be a very difficult course. And you can tell how difficult it is when, we were seeing, especially at the Masters, we were seeing 20 under, 18 under, somewhere in there, and Mickelson sitting at 7 under going into today's round. So granted, it's Sunday, so who you got? 2Ks. Let's start out with that. Let's make our pick. Are you taking lefty? Does he become, because not only that, but if he wins today, he becomes the oldest player in PGA history to win a major. Now keep in mind, this would be like the second major that we've had is someone different win, obviously, but when I mean different, we have the first Asian player win the Masters. Now we'd have the oldest player ever. So it's kind of cool. It really is. And there was a lot of folks that, once Tiger started to decline, and now, he's obviously out because of the leg injury now with the car accident, but everyone was wondering how golf would evolve past the Tiger Woods era. And I tell you what, I think this might be the strongest field, top to bottom, that the PGA's seen, if not ever, within like the last 20 years, 25 years.
No, Tiger created this.
Oh yeah.
I mean, everybody, all these people, all these kids, especially these younger players now that are so good. I mean, there's and the list just goes on. There's probably 20 of them that you can name off of some of these. Yeah, at least. And they all wanted to be Tiger. They all wanted. I mean, Tiger made this cool. Made golf cool, and so yeah, he made this. But as far as today goes, I think a lot of people would agree with me in saying that I hope Phil wins. I want Phil to win this. But when you look, and he's got one shot behind him at Brooks Koepka there, I think it's going to be very hard to hold him off.
Especially since they're in the same pair.
Yep.
And kind of the coolest part about that is that they both know how to win. They both have won quite a few times. But Phil even talked about it, I want to say after day 2, I think after Friday's round, how it was more mental rather than physical, keeping his focus. Yeah. And that's been the hardest part for him moving forward in his career. It's not what his body's doing or what his body can't do. It's what his mind isn't letting his body do.
Yeah, and seeing what these young players can do, how long that they can hit the ball.
And that was something that, getting back to the wind, this course is made for dudes that bomb the ball. That's why a lot of people were choosing Bryson to win this, because I mean the dude can hit it 800 feet or 800 yards. Sorry, but to see a dude like Phil, who isn't a bomber and never really has been his whole career, but he probably has the best short game out of anyone I've ever seen. I mean, that lefty wedge has always been buttery smooth. Always been, I mean, not a knockdown putter his whole career, but very good. Very good. And kind of one of the things that goes by the wayside is leading up to this, because we're still probably 20, 25 minutes away from Phil and Brooks teeing off here. One stat that I think if Koepka does not win this tournament is that he's missed 7 putts from inside 10 feet. Excuse me. 7 putts. That's 7 strokes that he could. you're not going to make all your putts from 10 feet. If it comes down to him losing this by a stroke, that's going to be he's going to look back at this for the rest of his career and be like, crap, that's the reason why. Getting back to the focus that Phil's had up to this point, and if Koepka could have, been that solid, I think I honestly think we'd see a different leader at this point. Whether, and like I said, just being one stroke back, that's not a big deal. That's not a big deal. And man, Ricky has got his mustache needs its own Instagram page. That is a caterpillar for sure under his lip, especially with the bright orange he's wearing today and hitting it way off the green. But yes, his mustache game is pretty juicy. It's pretty juicy. That lip sweater is, like I said, it needs its own Instagram. But no, I'm right there with you. I've got Koepka winning this. I picked him pre-Thursday. I mean, granted, he was one of the favorites to win this, but Spieth was right up there, and he's kind of dropped off. Dustin Johnson didn't even make the cut. So, and this is a tournament too that Brooks has won twice already in his young career. Granted, different courses, but the PGA Championship he's won twice, and it's going to be interesting to see him. And now, what would really be cool is if like someone put up an inflatable ring and let Brooks and Bryson DeChambeau kind of wrestle, because those dudes are both gigantic. They could both be linebackers in the NFL, it seems like. And especially there's some of these young kids coming up that are like bean poles, and yeah, they look even smaller compared to these two. But I'm with you. My heart wants Phil to win just because it's Phil. It would be very nostalgic, and just because he really hasn't been relevant in the last 5 years, it seems like. Speaking of Spieth, he's even right now, but no, like I said, just the fan in me wants to see Phil win. Obviously, did not put any money on him for this whole ordeal started. I don't think it. Besides Mickelson's mom, would probably be the only one that would put money on him right at this point. But it's going to be cool to see how this plays out. And like I said, it's a golf course to where the wind is a predominant factor. And this round is the wind has flipped for the first time this week. So it's going to be exciting to see how these players handle that. So, all right, Mr. 2Ks, you said you're taking Koepka to win this as well.
Yeah.
All right. I said I put my money on him before the tournament started, so I might as well ride him out. And I mean, why not? Why not? Well, 2Ks, we gave the 2K crew some extra time. Why? Because we love them. And that's what we do. That's what we do. But is there anything on the baseball side, on the golf side, anything else we need to mention before we say adios?
No, I think that's everything.
All right. Nothing comes to mind as well. But for those of you that like to plan out your week, I think next week, 2K's twisted my arm last night. We are going to talk some NBA next week. And he wanted to do it this week. And I said, well, how about we wait till next week? Because we all know that the playoffs is going to take 4 months to get through the first 2 rounds. And I just had a feeling that we'd have a little bit more content to go with for next week. Not that I'm being a hater that much, but just to kind of an NBA note, it's kind of, I was really hoping to see Steph in the playoffs, but on the other hand too, we get to see Ja.
Yeah.
So, and a rookie or a second-year player, that is making a name for himself and made his start on the Turbo and 2K show, going I think back to episode 2. So, if his agent is listening, we would like our cut, because obviously he got to where he's at because of us. So, I'm totally kidding. But, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, follow, all that good stuff. We love you guys. We love you gals. 2K crew, we will see you next time. And as always, Jim Rome, we're coming for you.